Okay, so we should be going now, which is good because I've got a fair bit to talk about. Sadly, I've got two bad news things that I need to start with. First, I'd actually made a list of points that I wanted to talk about for this, but I can't find it now. And so I've got a vague idea of the topics I wanted to bring up, but they're not probably going to be as organized as they should be. And second, originally I wanted to have my fiance talk about this with us because this is very much so about him because I am very out of the closet and he is not. And that's why a lot of these conversations that I've had recently have come up. They've been really frustrating to me, which is why I want to talk about this. So he probably won't be joining us. He might be joining us in the comments. I'm talking to him right now, trying to figure out what's going on. Because I wanted him to do it, but then he got busy and he just got home and I was ready to go and he's not quite sure what he wants to say. So he's suggesting that he'll be in the comment section and then I can just read the things that he has to say out loud because the comments don't stick around. Today we're going to be talking about coming out and whether or not that's important and why it's important to come out and why it's important to stay in the closet, because there are pros and cons to both of them. And depending on the life that you're leading and where you come from and your culture and your environment, one might be far superior to the other, and staying in the closet might be the best bet. I would like to say up front that I don't mean that you should, just 1 second, sorry. So I don't mean to say that you should stay in the closet and, for example, if you're a gay man, I don't think that you should get married to a woman and then lead her on and lie to her for both of your entire lives, because I think that will make you miserable. I think that will make her miserable. I think that there's a way to live your life as a queer person and do the things that you want to do, like have a family and a partner of the sex that you're attracted to and still be in the closet. I think that's entirely reasonable and possible. And I don't think that it's wrong to do that. And a lot of people that I've talked to seem to think that it's a terrible thing to still be in the closet. I want to talk about, I want to bring up the fact, I know someone who's getting their master's in social work, and he and I have had quite a few discussions about this recently, because he's looking at the relationships of like older queer people. Apparently they don't like the term queer, they stick to LGBT, but I'm going to use the term queer because it's the one that I'm used to and the one that I know. And it's what would come out because that's just what I use. So there are quite a few elderly queer people who had to stay in the closet because at the time, as we all know in the past, the United States was a very unfriendly place for queer people. Bad things happened. You could get electric shock therapy. You could a lot of bad stuff happened. I'm not here to explain queer history to you. It was bad. Everyone knows that. Before Stonewall, even directly after Stonewall, things weren't great. And people had to stay in the closet to survive and to live. And, you know, we've got really famous cases of people like Matthew Shepard, who was killed in the early 90s, I believe it was. And then just recently, there was the Pulse massacre, which is a very complicated subject. I don't know a lot about it, but it's complicated from what I remember. I think the person who went on the shooting spree was also gay, or he had been there, and it's complicated. And so that could have been one of the negative side effects of being in the closet. It could have helped build up that rage that he had. But it could also be protective, like the people before Stonewall. And those people, those elderly queer people, Some of them might be stuck in nursing homes with no family to take care of them because they never had their own family. And so they're in nursing homes, and they could be in conservative areas where coming out in these nursing homes could be dangerous for them. There is still a huge threat, even in the United States, but more so in other countries, where coming out can be detrimental to your health. You know, we're seeing that in Chechnya, where there's reports of lots of bad things happening. There was reports of it in Russia not too long back, where there were neo-Nazi groups posting online to meet up with gay people and to torture and kill them. And they were videotaping it and putting it online. Like, people like to pretend that we're in this world where coming out is safe. And it's not always. It can be very dangerous, even here in the United States, where people live in conservative families, where they can be kicked out on the street. It's not always a safe thing. And even if it's not a danger to your health, you could lose your family. And yes, there's the argument that if your family doesn't love you unconditionally, then they don't really love you and you don't need them in your life. But that's a very, I feel, Western way to look at things. Hello, how are you? You know, we don't put as much emphasis on family here in the West than some other countries. I mean, and there are even some European countries that would be considered. I am, yes, a little bit cold, so I've got my blanket here. Some, European countries put more emphasis on family than we do here in the United States. There's just different cultures value family differently, and they define family differently. Like here, it's very common, especially in the queer community, for us to build our own family. And blood relations aren't as important to us as the family that you choose to have around you, the people that love and respect you no matter what. But in other cultures, that bloodline, that family, you should definitely hug me. Vegan eggs. Okay. How are you guys doing? So I've got 2 people here in my chat that I know, which is good. How are you doing, Amy? Your vegan eggs made with coconut oil. So, what was I saying? Yeah, we put more of an emphasis on the family that you create and you build yourself, like the people that I have in my chat right now. You know, I've known Amy for a long time, and Amy is basically, my family. Like, when she has children, they are going to be my niece or nephew. I don't know if she knows that or not, but I'm saying that right now, Amy. They are my niece or nephew. So, we put a strong emphasis on that sort of family, where other cultures put more of an emphasis on that blood relationship that you have. And losing that by coming out could be devastating. You could lose your entire family just by being the person that you are. And for some people, it's easier to stay in the closet. Yes, you do have to have children. You should get on that. It's easier to stay in the closet, and it's less painful to live in that closet than it would be to come out and to lose your family. People say that you'll be much happier coming out of the closet than you would if you stayed in it, because you'll get to be yourself. But I think there is literally or figuratively. Amy said she's going to get on her husband about having children. So literally and figuratively both work in this situation. Hello, Hoyan. And I think it's important to realize that losing this family can be more devastating than being able to be yourself, especially when in some cultures, being yourself isn't necessarily the thing that you want to do the most. You want to work towards society, and you want to better the community around you. You don't necessarily care about, you put what's best for you below what's best for the people around you and the culture around you. That's neither better nor worse than the way that we look at it in the West. It's just different. It's just a different way to look at things. And if that's what makes these people happy, then that's what they should do. Or if you just want to keep your family intact and that's more important than you than being out, that's fine. And I don't think that being able to be your authentic self requires you to come out. You can, I feel like my fiance, who is definitely not out to anyone, I think we've talked about it, and he has one person in his life since before he met me that he's out to. Ray meets Gylian. Hello. So, you know, you can still be yourself and not out to everyone. I figured that was Ho Yun because it said that they were made to log in. So now everyone's here, the whole family. You can continue to be yourself. Everyone has different personas that they put on, and a lot of the times that's considered being two-faced and fake in the West, but we all do it. You've got a different personality when you're at work than when you're with your friends, than when you're at school, than when you're with your family. Everyone acts differently all of the time. Always. It's how people work. And whether or not we want to admit that or not, it's true. Now, in some cultures, it might be more extreme than it is here in the West, or for even some cultures here in the United States. I feel like in the South, they're decently, like, this is a stereotype about Southern people. They put on this really friendly charm, and it's not necessarily exactly how they feel about people. It's just this persona that they put on. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Everyone does that, just to different degrees. And so being able to come out or not come out to your family is the exact same thing. It's this persona that you've got with your partner or with your friends, and this persona that you have with your family. Now, there are going to be some things that you might actually have to lie about. Like, why haven't you found a girlfriend yet? When are you getting married? You could already be married. And that could be a frustrating, hard thing to say to your family. But you don't have to tell them. You can have this family and live it and be this person to your partner and your family and your loved ones. And you can be completely out in this one aspect of your life. And then this other aspect of your life, you can be this, closeted person that just doesn't want to find someone, or you're too busy with work, or whatever your reason is. That doesn't make you any less of a queer person, and that doesn't make you bad at being queer. Coming out isn't as important as people think, and in fact, there's something really important about staying in the closet for a lot of people. It can keep you physically safe. As I've mentioned before, there's still a lot of dangers, even in the United States, where you're possibly going to be murdered for being queer of whatever type. We like to pretend it's safe here, and it's a lot safer than it used to be, but it's definitely not as safe as people like to think it is. A lot of the people that I see saying that you should just come out no matter what are people who live in big cities or have big personalities, and they're safe. What about more people who are more like introverted and they don't like confrontation, or they live in a small town in the Bible Belt? It might not be safe for them to come out. The reason that this is, again, I mentioned this before, I think, the reason this has come up for me lately, and while I'm really frustrated with all of these people saying you should come out all of the time, is because I've mentioned to a few people that my fiance doesn't want to come out. And we've sort of made a deal where he doesn't have to come out to his family, and if we're in China or we're living in China or somewhere around there, that I'll be less me, we'll tone it down. He doesn't need to come out to anyone over there. But new people that come into our lives, he needs to be more open about it. So say we settle down in France, like those people that we meet in France, like he doesn't need to be screaming it from the balcony, but it's frustrating because I am very out and I enjoy the privileges that I get from being out. Being able to hold hands down the street, or if I'm cold outside in the winter, being able to have someone warm me up, something like that. I enjoy those privileges very much. But I know that he enjoys the privileges that he gets from being in the closet, from not losing his family, which is very likely from what I understand about Chinese culture. I don't want to speak too much on that myself because I am not Chinese. I don't live in there, but all of my friends have told me I don't think I have a single out Chinese friend. I have a couple of friends whose parents know that they're gay, but it's never been stated and they never talk about it. They just ignore it. They don't talk about relationships. It's this unspoken thing that they've agreed to not talk about, and that's what works for them. I don't have any Chinese friends that are out, and the friends that I do have that came out don't talk to their parents anymore, and some of them haven't talked to their parents for decades. It's not like the United States where people will get mad and not talk to you for a while and they'll come back to it. They don't. Yeah, Amy just agreed with me. All of her gay Chinese friends are keeping it from their families. Like, it's a very different world there. And a lot of my friends here in the United States are like, oh no, he should just come out. Like, it'll be fine. They'll love him no matter what. And they might still love him, but it's a very different culture there. And it might not work the same way it does here because expectations are different there. And the way you handle things are different there. And it's people, the thing is, a lot of the people that are saying it are straight people here in the United States saying to just come out. Oh, don't put a crying face. Do you have anything to add? Am I being correct here? Like, there are a lot of straight people here that don't understand that it's dangerous here, saying that he should just come out, it'll be better in the long run. Because you get to be yourself and eventually your family will accept it. And that's, maybe they will. Maybe he's wrong about the reaction that they'll have. But I'm not going to tell him that because I'm not the one that's going to lose my family. He gets to decide what he wants to do. That's not my decision. And yes, I'd love if we got to, get married and then I got to have that relationship with my parents-in-law and then we got to have children and they got to meet their grandparents. That would be great. But if that's not possible, that's not possible. And I'd rather have him have his parents for sure than to maybe have grandparents for our children. Like, if he were to come out in the hopes that our children could have grandparents and then he loses them, that loss is more difficult than the joy that we could have from having this relationship with our grandparents, in his opinion. And I respect that. I don't know if I would rate it the same way. I haven't thought about it because it's not my decision to make. Yeah, my friend said that her roommate said she loves her mom and she didn't want to make her sad, which is, some of the things that my fiancé has said to me as well. Like, it's that looking out for other people above your own happiness that I talked about earlier. Like, the culture is different there and different things are focused on being important. And things like this happen in the United States as well. We're an extremely religious country. People get disowned even to this day. Like, it's not necessarily safe to come out all the time, whether that's, emotional or physical danger that you face. And a lot of out people don't understand this. There's still, because we are getting more liberal and accepting here, but it's not the same for everyone. Some people have extremely religious families that they'll lose and they'd rather have that family. Like, the joy of having a community, even if you're not 100% yourself in that community, could be better to someone than being out to the world. Because out isn't an all or nothing thing. When you come out, you're coming out for the rest of your life. Every new person you meet, you have to come out to again. And it gets easier and easier every time, yes. And then sometimes it's just obvious because you meet somebody with your partner and bam, you're out automatically. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to be, oh, I'm gay to everyone. But meeting someone new and saying, oh, I have a husband at home, or, oh, you're talking about, I don't know, sports. And you're like, oh, I'm not really into sports, but my husband loves football. Like, you're outing yourself in that situation. You're always going to be coming out to every new person you meet And every new person you meet is a new danger of insulting someone or making someone angry. And yes, I don't care if I make a stranger angry, but again, for people who are more in conservative areas or people who are less big on confrontation, it can be very bad for them. And you can come out to a small group of people. You can come out to your friends. You can come out to your loved one and their family. Like, all of my family knows my fiance and they all love him and he seems to enjoy them. He liked the new video that I posted for him. Maybe that's enough for him. He gets to keep his family and he gets to have mine. That's fine. That works. He doesn't need to be the same person to everyone. So, I don't know. That's my rant. You don't need to be the same person to everyone. You're never going to be. There are going to be people who know things about you that you're going to have friends that know more about you than other friends do because you're a different person. You do different things with different people. And frankly, your parents don't need to know who you fuck. Let's be honest. So I guess that's the end of my rant. Does anyone in the comments have anything that they want to add? Any more points that I missed? That's most of what I had on my list, I think. So I think I did steal that line from you. Yeah, I stole that line about your parents and fucking and stuff from Amy. We were talking about this before I got on here. Copyright Amy 2017. So yeah, I think I'm gonna head out then. Let me know in the comments below when this is uploaded if you have any experiences with this, what you think about it. Do you think it's necessary to come out? Yeah, let's start a discussion about this because I think that people are very hardline. You have to come out in the United States, and I think that that is a dangerous position to have. I think you should look at everything case by case. So let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, of course, you should like, comment, share, and all that. Subscribe, YouTube-y stuff. Anyways, yeah. Just have a great day. Thank you for watching, you guys. I enjoyed the discussion. Okay, bye.